So the kids are back in school. Dropped them off at school for the first time today since the Christmas break. And it got me thinking about something that I have been talking about lately. And that's where whatever you're involved in can seem like your new normal. And, you know, for me, the kids have been home for the entire Christmas break, which was a couple days before Christmas, the week prior. And then I've had them the entire time. They went to their mom's for a few hours on Christmas Day, and the rest they were with me. And I, you know, was going to work and taking some time off and doing some things. And one of the things that's really interesting is how everything, you acclimate relatively quickly to whatever your situation is. Now, if it's a situation you like, that's, you know, that's one thing that's a little bit different. It's a little bit harder whenever it's something that you don't like and you're constantly frustrated. But for me, in my situation, I mean, it's like, we roll in today and it's like, wow, you know, I mean, they've been with me the entire time. We've been making it work. We've been having some fun, doing some things, just making some memories, not really doing a whole heck of a lot, you know, nothing too exciting or too extravagant, just spending time together and stuff like that. And then also the other nice thing about that is that whenever you don't have the other influence of the other parent, you can settle into a routine and things start to calm down, you know. And now the interesting part about that is what I've been talking about recently is just how you can get so caught up in whatever, you know, whether it's good or bad, typically the bad side of it, how you get caught up in just accepting what you're dealing with and not thinking or not believing that things can change. Now, typically I talk about in the context of, you know, the stress and anxiety that you're going through with the relationship falling apart, with the smear campaign, with the triangulation, and you get fixated that that is your new world. And I've fallen into that many times. I've talked about it before, but I thought it was interesting going through a relatively positive time where things seemed pretty calm and stable and good too, right? I mean, to be perfectly honest, had everything stayed the same the way it was through the holidays and never changed, I would be okay with it. Make it a little hard to do the live streams and stuff like that, but bottom line is that it was one of those things where I was getting acclimated to it, and it was a good thing. So when you're struggling with this, keep that in mind. Keep that in mind that as human beings, we tend to just adapt to whatever situation we're in, and we believe that it's the forever situation. So, and I know I've been trying to drill this message in, but if you're struggling with this, try to keep that in mind. Try to keep that in mind that what you're feeling right now isn't necessarily permanent. You do have a lot of control over your own emotions once you're able to process the anger, the hurt, and the frustration, and the bitterness, and all those things, to really start to recapture your life and start to rebuild. And that's really critical because it is so easy to get caught in that trap that you have to think about the other person, or that this is your situation, or they're always going to win, or, you know, your kids are going to be triangulated, and all those different things. And I get it, because I went through that. And I went through the phase where I thought it was going to take until my kids were into their 20s before they really started to understand what was going on, and things started to calm down. And it didn't take that long. It didn't take that long once I started modifying my approach with them and the way I was interacting with them. That's really the catalyst. Now, I firmly believe that if I would have stayed on that negative path, if I would have stayed on that bitter path, and if I would have stayed on that path where I was trying to convince them or fight everything their mom was doing and trying to, you know, like, hey, you're being brainwashed, not that I said that, but I mean, trying to counterpoint every point that the ex was doing, I think I would have caused, well, not I think, I know I would have caused myself more damage, and it would have, then that idea of this taking until they were in their 20s or 30s to really figure things out would have been much more accurate. Once you start pushing the ex out of your environment, which I mean, when I say environment, I mean basically out of your thoughts, out of your mind, out of engaging with them on a reoccurring basis to try to hold them accountable and stuff like that, with the caveat that you do have to set boundaries. I'm not saying let them get away with everything. I'm just saying where you don't allow it to pull you into that emotional pit of hell. Once you can do that, and then you start focusing on building your relationship with your children and really focusing on that, it's amazing how things calm down. And I know that when I was going through this in the beginning stages, that I was so worried that she was going to be able to turn the kids, you know, do the parental alienation, be successful at it, and just torpedo everything. They would choose her over me, and you know, everything would just be a train wreck. And I understand being really worried about that in the beginning, because you don't really know, right? You hear all the different horror stories and everything, and you're like, oh my God, this is going to happen. This horrific scenario is going to come true, and I have to fight it, and I have to do everything actively to try to do it. And the thing is a lot of times all that does is just create extra chaos and stress in your environment, and stresses your relationship with the kids. And the little caveat on that, or not caveat, but the little, I guess, truth bomb that I'll leave on that is your narcissistic ex has an amazing ability to portray being the calm one. And when you're trying, I mean, so they can be behind the scenes pushing these buttons, doing this covert narcissistic type of things, trying to manipulate people, trying to manipulate your kids. And when you're the one who's actively trying to fight it, it draws all attention to you. No one is seeing what they're doing, because they're able to pretend when the camera's on, so to speak, that they're fine, that you're the one with the problem. You know, it's just so sad that, you know, so-and-so won't calm down, and then here you are trying to actively fight it, and unfortunately you're reinforcing what the illusion that they're trying to portray. So if you can calm yourself down, try to push it out of your mind. I know it's hard, because just how much anger and frustration there is with your ex, but if you can push that out and really focus on building the relationships with your kids, and not focusing on trying to convince them that the brainwashing that's happening is happening, and to try to counteract it, your best way to counteract it is to be genuine with your kids, to love your kids, to be there for them, and let them express themselves and feel safe with it. Sometimes that's hard, because when they're doing that, it's like basically they're taking their little finger, you know, and go boop right in your eye, which is really tough. But if you can do that, if you can create that environment, the likelihood, in my opinion, the likelihood that your children are going to say that they want, or they're going to pick the other parent, is significantly diminished. So on that, I'm going to wrap this up, because it's starting to rain on me a little bit, and hopefully you're doing okay. At least I was able to do a little bit better outside, and it's actually raining, but it's not as cold, which is kind of interesting. So hopefully you're doing well, and I will chat with you on the next video. Take care. Bye.